What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's doing good. Thanks for tuning into this video. It's been a while since I've made one of these story time videos because I only do them when I have to drive somewhere in my car for a long distance, and I ain't had to really go nowhere lately. But yeah, I just got done driving some Nitros with my buddy. We got some Revos in the back, and we got a Rustler in the back, and I got a couple of RC upgrades right here in my, got a couple of upgrades I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to make a YouTube video about them. But guys, in this video I'm going to talk about what it used to be like to work at a hobby shop. I used to work at a hobby shop for a couple of years, and I'm going to talk about, let me get my notes out. This is a list I made of what I need to talk about. I'm going to talk about what it was like to work at a hobby shop. That's the title. I don't know why I just read that off. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about getting hired, my job and how much I got paid and what we sold, the benefits of working at a hobby shop, the problems of working at a hobby shop, my favorite part about working at a hobby shop, my least favorite part about working at a hobby shop, my best memory, my worst memory, and how it ended, how I quit working there. So, I don't know if y'all want to look at me or if y'all want to look at the road as I'm driving. I guess I'll let y'all look at the road while I'm driving, give y'all something to look at while I'm talking. But, yeah, the hobby shop I used to work at was called One Lug Racing. And it was a cell phone small hobby shop. It wasn't real big. It was owned by a man named Eric Leemaster. It was called One Lug Racing. And he also used to do the mobile hobby shop where he had this big trailer. It was an enclosed box trailer. It was actually, I think it was actually a race car trailer. It was made to haul like a real race car. And he like custom built shelving and put hangers up in the inside, and it was air conditioning. And he would go to RC events and RC tracks around the states, and he would sell race parts, RC parts to people at the racetrack. So he had a mobile hobby shop, and he had the little hobby shop that was like just it was just a regular hobby shop. Now, his main job, what he really done to make a living, was he was an auto body repairman. He would repair dents and dings and scrapes in cars. Like, if your car got hit with hail from a thunderstorm and you had a bunch of dents in your car, it would cost thousands of dollars to get that repainted, get your car repainted and fixed. But Eric, my boss, he done paintless dent repair, and he was the best all around that could do it. Everyone knew that he's the best. He got lots of good business. He's real good at it. He's the best I know of at it. And he's a good teacher. He taught me how to do a little bit of it. I done it for a little while. And that was his main income, and he made good money doing it. He could bring in a couple thousand in one day. And on the side, but it was a 4-car garage that he worked on the vehicles, and my buddy worked for him, and he was so busy doing the real life car and truck, working on real life cars and trucks, and then he was trying to do the hobby shop on the side. The hobby shop was right beside the real car shop. And he would just walk back and forth whenever he had hobby shop customers. And he was getting pretty busy, so he wanted to hire someone else to come help out. And that's when my buddy that already worked for him told him about me, and then he hired me. And my main job was, I was to answer the phone. If anyone called for anything, I was supposed to answer the phone and help them whatever way I can. If anyone came for the hobby shop, I was supposed to go and lock the door and let them in and do whatever they needed to do at the hobby shop. And then my real job was all the real trucks and cars and vans and SUVs that my boss worked on at the real car shop. My job was to get them ready for him to work on. I would have to take the headliners out, tires and wheels off, the bumpers, the headlights, taillights, door panels. I would just have to take the vehicles all apart so he could work on them. And then when he got done working on them and fixed them, I had to put the vehicles back together. And then I would get in them and pull them around back and hang the keys up, and that way the car dealers and the customers could come pick their cars up when we got done working on them. And so my job was to do that, and then like I said, I would go back and forth and open the hobby shop up for people if they needed to come in the hobby shop. And then there was a couple of times we were open Monday through Friday, but my boss was always up there on the weekends because it was his shop. And so if you went up there on a weekend and you needed something from the hobby shop, 9 out of 10 times my boss would always let you in the hobby shop and let you go ahead and get what you needed, even though he was closed. He's a great guy. He done a lot for me. I miss him. He used to give me so much money and buy me whatever I wanted. He would help out any way he can. He was just the best guy that I know of, and I loved him and I miss him. And anyways, so I worked for him doing the real car shop and then the hobby shop. So in the hobby shop, the stuff that we sold, and I made like $380 a week doing that. And then eventually later on, he trained me how to do the dent repair and work on real life trucks and cars. And I started getting extra money from that. I think my biggest check was like $700 or $800 a week. And anyways, I loved working at the hobby shop. It wasn't the biggest hobby shop around, but we had a track out back, and he sold just about everything that anybody would ask for. Like all the customers that came to us in our area, we sold what was most popular. We didn't keep every single thing in inventory that a lot of bigger hobby shops have, but he sold what everybody was wanting, like in the area. And our best seller was Traxxas products and Axial products. So we sold a lot of Traxxas RC models and a lot of Axial crawlers and stuff, and kits. And he sold a lot of accessories. He sold like brushless motors and electric motor combos, speed controls, servos. We had a good selection of everything. Nitro products. We had Nitro fuel and glow plugs, igniters, starter boxes, tires, wheels, bodies, paints, plastic model kits, airplanes, drones. And he was a good guy. He would give veterans or like people discounts all the time. And like me and the other people that worked for him, he would let us have whatever we wanted for his price. So since he owned the hobby shop, and he would order all his RC products from Great Plains, the distributor for the RC products. Say I wanted a Traxxas Slash, and I told my boss I want a Traxxas Slash 2-wheel drive base model, just the simplest Traxxas Slash they make. My boss could get that Traxxas Slash for very cheap. I can't remember exactly how much, but let's just say like $170. He could get a brand new one in the box. And then he would sell it for like $230. And that's how he would make money. And he would go ahead and let us, his employees, have the RC stuff that we wanted for his price. So we got great, huge discounts. I love and I miss the hobby shop discounts. And if we wanted something that he didn't have, he would always order it for us. So we always had everything that we wanted RC related. And I loved it. That was my favorite part about working there, getting the discounts. And we each had our own account. Like all of his employees had our own account with him, and we could get RC parts and then pay him later, and he would just put that on our account how much we owed him. So that was real nice. And my job, like I said, my job at the hobby shop was to help customers. I would help them find the parts they needed, and I would even have to help work on RC cars and stuff sometimes. My boss also done like used trade-ins. He would buy, sell, and trade any RC product. It don't matter if it was a Nitro engine. It don't matter if it was a Revo 3.3 or Axial SCX 10.2. It don't matter what it is. My boss would buy it from you if you had it used and you wanted to sell it used, or he would trade you. He would trade you RC stuff for whatever RC stuff you had, and he was real good about it. And he would also let you put your RC model up at his shop for sale and not charge you nothing to be able to sell it. So if you had something RC related you wanted to sell and get rid of, he would let you come bring it up to the hobby shop, and set it up on the shelf for sale, and he wouldn't ask no money from you. Or at least I don't remember him asking no money from people. And he was just a great guy. He like really, all the other hobby shops that's around is so much bigger and they make so much more money and they got way more business. But his hobby shop that he owned, the One Lug Racing, it should have done so much better than what it did, because he's such a great guy and he treated everybody the same. He would work on your RC car for free. He would fix it. He would help you out any way he can. And he gave great RC advice. He was real smart. He used to race RC cars, and he's dealt with all the different kinds of RC cars and brands, and he would help you any way he can. He was just an all-around awesome guy. And but his hobby shop didn't make that much money because, one, he gave everybody great deals and he didn't really care about making a lot of money. He made all his money doing the real car work on the other side, right next door to the hobby shop. But really the reason the hobby shop didn't do well is because the location it was in. We were located on Bondo Alley in Albertville, Alabama. And if you don't know what Bondo Alley is, that's a nickname for this street in Albertville, Alabama, that's like all car dealers and car salesmen and like car shops. So it was like garages that worked on vehicles. It was paint shops that would paint vehicles and do body work. It was mechanic shops and car salesman shops. And then there my boss had his dent repair body shop, and he had the hobby shop built in right next door to it. So there wasn't a lot of, and he didn't really advertise it and didn't have like a big website or nothing. So a lot of people just didn't know that it existed. But everyone that we told about it, they would always come check it out, and they would always come back and buy stuff from us. And I think it was on Google. You could Google hobby shops in your area and it would pop up One Lug Racing. But we had like there was like one customer that I know of that came in, and he said, actually there was two. There was two customers that came in, and they told us that they found the hobby shop through Google.com by Googling hobby shops near me. So I've dealt with a lot of different kind of RC brands, and I've worked on them, and I've helped people out with them. So I consider myself kind of experienced, and I've been in this hobby for like over 20 years. And Nitro's my favorite. I love Nitro more than anything. But I've had a lot of brushless and brushed RC models. And my favorite brushless RC model that I have is probably my Traxxas UDR. I had two of them, and I love them things. They're so awesome. My second favorite brushless RC model is probably my X-Max. I've got upgrades on it. I love them. And but my favorite Nitro RC cars is always going to be Traxxas Nitro cars. Pretty much any Traxxas Nitro RC model is my favorite. And I'm pretty good at working on them and rebuilding engines and tuning and stuff. And if anyone wants to ask me any questions, you can't really talk to me on YouTube, because for some reason it says nobody can leave comments, and I don't know how to fix that. I'm a simple guy. I barely do well enough just to get these videos put up on YouTube. But if you want to talk to me, you can look me up on Facebook. Just look up Chris Kenna, CHRIS space KENNA, Chris Kenna. And I'm on Facebook. I think it's a picture of me and my little girl on bicycles or something. And you can talk to me on Facebook. A lot of people talk to me on Facebook when they have RC questions or when they want me to help them out with something. And so all you YouTube people that watches my videos, y'all can get in touch with me that way if you want to. I love helping people out, and I love working at the hobby shop helping people out. But my worst day working at the hobby shop, I've got 2 bad days working at the hobby shop. The first bad day, let me go back to my bad. Well, we'll do the bad day first. The first bad day I had, there's really only 2 times I had really bad days that I can think of. And one of them is when one of our neighbors that had a garage next door to us, that he also worked on real life trucks and cars. He was always coming over and buying RC stuff from us for his kids. And his kids would get off the school bus at his garage, and they would hang out there while he finished working his day off. and they would drive the RC cars all in the yard around the garage while their dad worked on the real life trucks and cars. And they would come up, the kids would walk over to the hobby shop every once in a while to ask us for help. And one day, one of the little boys walked over to the hobby shop and asked me if I would help him with his RC car. It wasn't steering no more. It would go forward and backwards, but the steering wasn't working. Whenever you turn the steering wheel left or right, it wouldn't do nothing. And it wasn't making no noises. And I told him, well, you probably need a new steering servo. And he asked how much that was and what that was. So I got the stock steering servo down that he needed. It was like $40-something. It was a Arma. I believe it was an Arma. Or no, it was a Traxxas / two-wheel drive. And the servo was like 30 or 40 bucks for the servo that was on it. And so he got his RC car and he walked back over to his dad's shop and told his dad that he needed a servo. And then his dad came up back over with him. They walked back to the hobby shop, and his dad was holding the RC car, and he started taking the body off of it, and he started like looking at it and trying to steer the tires left and right, and they were locked up. I done tried all that. They wouldn't steer. It was locked up, so I just figured the servo went bad. But he was banging on it, and all of a sudden the steering started working, and a rock fell out on the table. So the only problem was it had a rock jammed up in the steering horn, and it wasn't steering left and right properly. And I felt so bad because the dad thought that I was just trying to make some money and lie to the little boy, telling him that he needed a servo when his servo was okay. It was just a rock stuck in it. And I told him that I done checked it and looked at it and it needed a servo, but I didn't look at it good enough. And I felt so bad. And his dad was like, you could tell his dad was pissed off at me. He probably thought I was just trying to get money out of him. And that wasn't the case. I was just real busy doing the real car shop stuff. And I was trying to hurry up in the hobby shop. And my second bad day, this was the worst day I had of all. And this was the day that I quit working there. Me and my boss, the guy that owned the hobby shop, he was such a great guy. I loved him. I miss him. He done so much for me. And I really wish I could talk to him and tell him how much I appreciate all the shit he's done. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. I'm just getting real passionate about this because he was such a great guy to me. He done a lot for me and gave me a lot of money, gave me a lot of stuff. He would always help me anyway. If I needed help with anything, he would always help me out. And me and my wife just got married, and we got our own house. This was the first house I lived in without living with my parents. This was my first house. And we didn't have our own lawnmower. We did well getting our own place. So my boss was letting me borrow his lawnmower to mow our yard, and it was a real nice lawnmower. It was a Kubota tractor, and my boss would let me take it home and mow my yard with it. And I was also supposed to mow his yard in return. And he would give me like $120 to mow his yard in his back field and weed eat. And after getting married, I was so busy, I started slipping up on mowing his yard. And his yard would get real high, and he would get mad at me because I wouldn't go mow it. And then this one day, and then my boss and his wife was they were having their own problems, and they were about to be going through a divorce. So he was kind of already in a bad mood. And I was supposed to go mow his yard this weekend. And I went to go mow it, and I started mowing it, and I got the front yard done. But he had this huge, big back field. And I started mowing the back field, and then my papa called me and said, hey, I got something's wrong with my truck. Can you come help me fix my truck? So I left, and I quit mowing my boss's yard, and I went to go help my papa out. And I just said, well, I'll finish mowing my boss's yard tomorrow. And I wound up not going the next day, and I said I would go the next day. So my boss was pretty pissed off at me. That Monday I went to work, he was real mad because him and his wife was already arguing about stuff, and he was in a bad mood. And then he was mad at me because I didn't mow his yard all the way, and he already gave me the money for mowing it, but I didn't finish mowing it. And I remember when he walked in, I was telling the story to my buddy that worked there, about what I done that weekend, and my boss kind of snapped off. He said something about screwing him over not mowing his yard after I done paid him, and it kind of upset me real bad because he went off on me. He started going off on me about, you know, everything that he done for me and how he always helps me out and how I screwed him over by not mowing his yard. And he was right. I agree. He was right. But I don't think he should have talked to me the way he talked to me. And he wouldn't let me explain. I had to go help my papa. My papa was like 89 years old, and I had to go help him. I can always mow a yard anytime, but I've only got one papa, so I got to go help my papa. But my boss wouldn't even let me explain. He just kept chewing me out. So my boss finally got done shooting me out, and he walked off. And I thought about it, and it just kept upsetting me more and more the way he talked to me. So I said, okay, you know what? I'll go mow his yard right now. I'll stop working doing my regular job, and I'll go mow his yard just to make him happy. So I grabbed my keys, and I walked out the front door, and then my boss followed me, and I was already in my vehicle, and I was backing out the driveway, and my boss opened the front door to the shop and yelled out, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to mow." And that was it. I rolled the window up and I went to his house. Okay, so after a few minutes of driving, I finally get to his house, and as I'm pulling in his driveway, I notice he's flying down the road in his own truck. He followed me, and he pulled in his driveway behind me, and he was going so fast, he about rear-ended my car. He hit the brakes, and his truck slid, and slid into the back of my car. And he jumped out of his truck and ran around up to my window, and he started cussing me out. I've never seen him talk this way to me or anybody else. He took his glasses off and slung them down. He said, "You want to go, mother effer?" He's like, "Get out, let's fight." And I was so freaked out, I couldn't even talk. My lip just started shaking. I started tearing up, like crying a little bit. And I couldn't even get anything to come out. I was just froze because he was yelling at me and wanting to fight me. And finally, he got done cussing me out and got in his truck and left. And I started mowing his yard. And the more I thought about it, the way he'd done me, the more upset I got. And I finally just stopped mowing his yard. I drove home. I got all the stuff that belonged to him that was at my house. And I even had one of his vans at my house, one of his real life vans at my house. And I had his lawnmower and a bunch of other stuff. I got all his stuff together that I had that was his. And I went and left it in his front yard. And I never talked to him again. And he texted me that afternoon and asked, he said, "Did you get done mowing?" I didn't text back. He kept messaging me back saying, "You better reply to me, or are you going to be at work tomorrow? I need to know, did you quit? What's going on?" And he said, "If you don't reply to me, then you're fired." And then his wife started messaging me, asking me what was wrong. And I actually messaged his wife back, and I said, I told her, I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not coming back." I didn't tell her why. And that was it. That was the end of it. That's how I quit working there. And then after that, he just shut the hobby shop down. He didn't make that much business doing it anyways. He made all of his money doing the real life car and truck garage stuff he done. The body work he done. He made all his money doing the body work to real life cars and trucks. So he closed the hobby shop and sold it all to some guy. I don't know how much he sold it all for, but he sold all his RC stuff to one single guy, and he quit doing the hobby shop. But I worked there for about, I don't know, I think it was like 2.5, 3 years maybe, and I loved it, man. Like I said, he would give us great discounts. We would always get to take breaks and drive RC cars whenever we wanted to. We built a track out back, and we had fun racing on the track. Like I said, I loved working there, and I miss it. And I wish I could work at a hobby shop again. But probably the biggest thing that I didn't like working at a hobby shop, the thing that got on my nerves the most about working at a hobby shop, was people coming in wanting parts, and they don't have the part numbers, or they don't know what they need. Like, it was so aggravating when somebody would come in and they would say, hey, I need this, and they don't have the part number. Now, most of the time, if it was like an A-arm or a spur gear or a pinion or a clutch bell, they could just tell me that's what they need, and I could look it up and find it pretty quick. But if they would come in and the RC car was broke and they wanted to know what was wrong with it, you know, that was aggravating, because I would have to take my time to like really look at the RC car good, possibly take it apart, find out what was wrong, see if we got the part for them. And then another aggravating thing was like making a list for people. People would call the hobby shop asking if we had certain parts, or they would just come up there, look around, and they would ask for a certain part, and we wouldn't have it in stock, and they would want us to order it for them, and I'd have to write down all the orders that we needed to make each week, and that was aggravating. And another thing that was aggravating was organizing. I'm real OCD about everything, and I love keeping stuff organized. So it was like really nerve-wracking trying to organize all the RC stuff on the walls and shelves, because every week we would get new stuff in, and I would have to figure out where to put it, and I would have to rearrange everything. That was so aggravating. That made me so mad. But other than that, I loved working in a hobby shop. I loved helping people and talking to people. I loved seeing all the different kind of RC cars come in. I loved getting in used stuff, and all the used cars we would get in on trade-ins, I would have to take them apart, make sure everything's there, clean them, put fresh lubricants and oils in them, get them running right, and then we would sell them to people. I love doing that. But yeah, guys, I'm almost back home, so I'm going to end this video now. Thanks for listening and watching in. I hope y'all enjoyed listening to me talk about what it was like working at a hobby shop. Just thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking my videos. And we'll see y'all in the next one.